All right, welcome back. Just breezing through the first hour here of a Woman Wednesday edition of Stop the Steal TV. What we're doing here is we're not broadcasting conspiracy theories. We're not throwing these far-flung ideas out from everywhere. What we're doing is we're drilling down into every last bit of factual, binary information that can keep you up to date on what's happening and where we are in Trump's path to victory. Now, we're joined now by one of my dear friends, someone who I owe much to my growth as an individual and an intellectual, if I am intellectual. Dr. Patrick Byrne joins me right now, dear friend of mine, one of the most credible and intelligent fellows I've ever met in my whole life. I'm proud to call him a friend. And my good friend, you have come under fire lately. You have been in the good graces and bad graces of the men in black, as you refer to them. But I've told our audience that you're one of the greatest tech entrepreneurs ever. You started Overstock.com from zero, built it into a $2 billion company. And I know the type of talent that you have around you. You're actually doing a citizen's effort to look at this data, and you have some stuff to share with us today on potential voter irregularities.
Absolutely, John. Good to see you again, sir. Yeah, this is not even a close call. This is a wild goon. How do I know? What you folks need to know is this. So this is a combination of concerned citizens and hackers, but also some very professional cybersecurity groups are involved. And the reason is, in the Dallas election in 2018 had irregularities in it. And the state of Texas hired a cybersecurity firm to study it. That firm has had and it was a Dominion voting systems. They've had 2 years to deconstruct and reverse engineer. How do you hack an election with Dominion voting systems? So in other words, they've had 2 years to study what you're trying to come up to speed on in the last 2 weeks. Turns out it's not even close. This election was hacked. And I'm not saying, you know, in states where, and I didn't vote for Trump, and you know that, John.
I know that. We've had many intellectual debate about it, and I know you're a patriot and a libertarian, but...
Yeah, that's okay. That doesn't enter into it. It's the Constitution. This election was hacked. This is not even close. In these states where they're worried about Trump is behind 12,000 or 20,000, he got cheated like 600,000. 600,000 in states where they're trying to make that up. The hacking is so far beyond what... But you can imagine this group and these cybersecurity groups that were working on deconstructing the Dallas election have done it for 2 years, and they figured out these 10 different. There's at least 10 different hacks in the Dominion system, and it's incredibly poor security. I've asked some hacker friends to, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard would you say these systems are, and they put it at 2, maybe a 1.
Wow.
It's far less secure than PayPal or Venmo or anything like that. What I want to get across, this is not like literally, if you look at these states where he's 14,000 votes behind or 20,000 votes, he was cheated out of 300 to 600,000 in those states. And it is crystal clear. It's rock solid evidence, affidavits from people involved, but data, evidence. We've had a whole team of counter hackers deconstructing this for 4 months. We knew this was going to come. And so I just want to assure everybody, this isn't even close. This was hacked, and there are cybersecurity groups who have put it all together. I'm on the administration. I'm one step ahead of the sheriff myself, but we have a pipeline where we can feed things to the good guys, and they are taking it. And I think it's a very central element of what you're seeing show up on TV and the people you named. But I just want to be clear, we're not getting direction from them. I've got nothing. I'm one step ahead of the sheriff because of what I've done already.
So we
are feeding everything we can to the lawyers for the president who are turning this all into court filings. And when Sydney says she's got the Kraken, she's got the Kraken. We found the Kraken, and we tamed the Kraken and put a collar on him and led the Kraken to Sydney.
So Patrick, one of the things, I have many shortcomings, as you know, but one of the strengths that you've always commented or complimented me on was, understanding the street level stuff and the practicalities of this. And when I'm looking at this and I see voter irregularities, like they're talking about glitches in the machines, and then they're talking about ballots popping up, it sounds like there was a street operation that was ham-handed together at the last minute, because as they're deleting Trump votes and switching Trump votes, they need enough pieces of paper to turn up so that the total amount of votes still matches. Am I on to something there?
You're absolutely onto something. And they figured out in the middle of the day how many votes, and it's all statistical. They see how far they are behind, and they figure out how many votes they're going to need to make up, which they can do by shaving votes. And believe it or not, within the algorithm, there's a dial, so to speak, where they can start shaving votes and start giving portions of votes from one candidate to the other. And that's also the reason, see, this is what they did in a nutshell. Don't think of it as widespread voter fraud. It's happened. They picked really a handful of cities that they realized it doesn't have to be widespread. We're going to hack we're going to steal 5 cities. And if we steal those 5 counties, really, it will, if we steal those 5 counties, we will be able to steal the states, and those states, it was very strategic. They flipped the Electoral College. Those counties are just the ones you're hearing about in the news. The way they got stolen, they shut the counting down for 3 hours, in these different places. And everyone was told to go home. In that time is when they snuck in. They'd had people nearby, doing fake ballots and stuff. They snuck them in and ran them. That's part of it. But I sent you a graph. I don't want you to release it to the public, but you can show it to the public on your screen that shows just the spike. We have activity to right down to the processing and serial numbers of the different machines. We can see spikes in the processing speed that far exceed in their velocity any of the capacity of the machines that were at that station to actually be fed ballots. Can you put up that graph I'm talking about?
Yeah, let's take a look at that graph. So Patrick Byrne is providing us for the first time. This is a chart that I've reviewed beforehand. This showing, tell us what we're looking at here, Patrick.
Okay, well, I can't see it, but I'll go from memory. I can
It's
tell you what it is.
This is the spiked vote totals
chart.
I
know. Yeah, I know that. So your viewers are seeing it, right?
Yep, they're all seeing it.
That's the processing velocity of votes in certain places in Michigan. And the theoretical capacity, and if you can see that there are these spikes, those spikes all fall in the windows, or those spikes fall in windows. The biggest one falls in the window where everyone was sent home and said, don't worry, we're not going to do anything for, everyone go get rest. And then in that window, and any Republican pollsters who were around were gooned out. This is when they were told you can't, they sent goons to keep them out. All these people came in, and we have all these affidavits and such of people who came in with backpacks and carts of carts of ballots. But there is both a possibility of taking blank ballots and running them through. I'm sorry, everyone's got to stop sending me notes. Thank you. And running them through multiple times. But importantly, the way this Dominion stuff works, if you walk up with your ballot and you feed it in, and the system says, and the poll worker is there to help you, and you get a little flashing light that says, oh, we're not sure it's going to read correctly, you get offered, the poll worker says, that's okay. Push the green ballot, the green button, and the judges will judge it later. You push that thinking that your vote is getting set aside and someone's going to examine it later. The way the Dominion software is set up is that actually goes into like a pile of unallocated votes, and anyone with administrator privileges at the end can come by and say, take all those accumulated votes, drag and drop them onto Biden. It is that easy. This is child's play to hack.
So Patrick, I'm looking at this chart. I see 4 counties. Nico, throw that back up for 1 second. I see 4 counties: Kent, Macomb, Oakland, Wayne. All these counties have these huge blue lines, like totally outliers to every other county that you see there. Are you saying?
And that's when they're shut. That's when they're shut and told people to go home in some cases.
So those blue lines were in most instances while they were supposedly closed down, and then all of a sudden there were these dumps.
And correct. And what's even funnier about it, in one of those places, we know that there were 20 machines. And if you take the theoretical limit of what one of these machines could process in an hour. It's supposed to do one, can do 1 per second, and there are 3,600 seconds in an hour. So suppose you had a photocopy machine that in a perfect world could do 1 per second. You would think it could do 3,600 in an hour, but you know there's going to be paper jams. You got to feed it. You know, not everything is perfect. So if you're lucky, you could do
3,000.
3,000, even 2,000.
Yeah.
20 of them could do 50, 40, 50, 60,000. In that hour, in that spike, there's over 200,000. So
wow.
If the machines were running perfectly and the place was fully staffed, but it wasn't because everyone was sent home, it could have done 50 or 60,000. Suddenly 200,000 go through
wow.
like that.
All right, Patrick, we got to take a quick commercial break right here. You're going to stick with us. We're going to come back and break this stuff down more, and you got to tell people out there what they can do to bring this to the attention of their legislators and others who need to know about it. You're watching Stop the Steal. Stick with us. Patrick Byrne is breaking down some new breaking information on the Stop the Steal. Back after this.